Hey, what's up guys? I'm the Nerd on the Streets. I know I said I was going to make a video about the cloud this week, but I realized that I could cut the cloud video's time in half if I made a separate video for the internet itself, and since it's Friday and I need to have the video up by Saturday, I'm not going to have enough time for that. So instead, two very big technology companies did things this month. Microsoft's was a bit more of a surprise. As you know, last Sunday, that would be the 17th, they kind of pulled an Apple, like, put their own unorganized spin on it. They called this last-minute meeting thing in LA. They ran like half an hour late, but and they obviously also thought that it was going to be a huge hit because they like gave the press people cards with specific times on it. So they were like thinking, oh yeah, we're going to get popularity with this. They released their Microsoft Surface tablet. I'll talk about that today. And also, Apple, the week before that, I think, was it the 11th? Apple has something every year called WWDC. That stands for Worldwide Developer Conference, and developers from all over the world, yep, it's June, that was the 11th to the 15th, but the keynote was on the 11th, and developers from all around the world come to this WWDC that Apple holds, and they, on the first day, they have their keynote, which is basically the presentation that starts WWDC, and then they have about a week's worth of technology workshops and programming, developing, and design, stuff like that. And this is usually the one where, like, you know, they release some software updates and do financial updates and stuff, at a couple of other things that they hold annually. But WWDC is usually where they do their big stuff. So we'll talk about that too. I know that you're probably going to want to hear more about what Microsoft is doing, simply because they changed things up quite a bit more than Apple did. So I'm going to talk about Microsoft's Surface tablet first. The Microsoft Surface. The official website is at surface.com. I think it also has a link on Microsoft's homepage. Microsoft Surface, not Windows Surface, but runs Windows 8. Let me show you a picture of this. Just because I love screwing with my tripod so much. This is it. Is it a laptop? Is it a tablet? Do we know? It's a tablet with some laptop-like things. Before I talk about the device itself, let me, you know how one of the biggest things that separates Microsoft and Apple is Apple, they make their own software, Mac OS, and the only hardware that they support it on is the hardware that they make. Their MacBooks, you know, the Airs and the Pros, and the iMacs, the Mac Mini, and the Mac Pro, those are pretty much the only, like, official computers that Apple is going to stand behind that have their software on it. You may have heard the term Hackintosh before. What that is when people install and run Mac OS on computers that are not made by Apple, like the hardware is not sold by Apple. And I've actually done that before with my laptop. It wasn't really a Hackintosh, it was kind of like Mac OS GUI running over a Linux kernel, because my laptop has an AMD processor, and you know, Mac OS only supports Intel now. Sorry if that's getting a little technical, but what Microsoft has always done was they took a separate approach from the start. They made Windows, and you know, you've probably heard of Windows before. You know, in the bottom left-hand thing, if you're running Windows, it's going to have the Start button, or it should, like, have the Windows logo. It's like the little flag. It used to be a flag, anyway. On this new Surface, it looks more like a TV. But, yeah, so they have always done it differently, where they programmed the software, like they made it, and then they sold their software to other companies. Have you ever heard of Dell, HP, Compaq, Lenovo, Toshiba, Gateway? That usually when you buy, no, always up to this point, when you buy a computer with Windows on it, it is not going to say Microsoft like on the actual computer. It's going to say one of those names like HP or Dell or Gateway or one of the other ones. And that's because those are the companies who make the physical hardware. Microsoft up to now has only made the software. I'm proceeding under the assumption that you know the difference between hardware and software, and you know what an operating system is, by the way. But don't make fun of the people who don't, because I know people who don't. They just, yeah, you can teach them. But Microsoft has always done this, where they basically say, alright, we're going to make the software, bring your own hardware to the party, and we'll make it work. Whereas Apple has always said, okay, we're going to take care of the entire package, but it's also a downside, or it can be, because they don't let people run it on other hardware either. So it's like, don't even bring your stuff, it's ours or nothing, is what Apple does. But Microsoft, you know, they make the software, and they have all these companies that basically most of their, if not all of their sales, are based on what Microsoft does. And you may have heard about Windows 8. I talked about it just a tiny bit in my Windows 7 videos last week. They're trying to merge their smartphone operating system and their desktop operating system, and now it's their tablet operating system too. But what I say is you need to have a touchscreen, or else you're not going to like Windows 8. But then you have to have a mouse too, because if you don't have a mouse, then Windows 8 is also going to suck. Because it's got basically a touchscreen interface, but then the desktop, it treats more as an application now. At least it did. So yeah, I'm looking at the website right here, Surface.com. Microsoft, I think this is a smart move. Why don't I just tell you what they did instead of, because I don't think I've said it yet. They announced that they are going to make a tablet. You know, like the iPad's a tablet. They're making a tablet now. Microsoft is. They're calling it the Surface. Which, some people find this a hard name to grasp. Why? It's a Surface. And they're basically saying, like, you know, it's the Surface. You can touch it and drag things around, like, on your touch screen. Like, it's a Surface. I don't know how else, other than knocking on wood, is going to, the wood surface there, is going to help you understand how the name was coined, but it's not that random. Okay, so it's the Microsoft Surface, and it's a tablet. It's got a touch screen. I'm just going to walk you through some of the details here. Touch screen, of course, you know, multi-touch. 10.6 inches. It's the same as the iPad. However, it's a 16:9 aspect ratio that's based in landscape. So that basically means the iPad, you know, you hold it where it's upright, but this is made so that you're going to hold it where it's sideways, or that won't be sideways anymore. Now it's just normal. It's going to have two cameras, two LifeCam cameras, and I believe they're the same one. So that's pretty nice, because most tablets have a lower quality one on the front than in the back. But it's got one in the front for, you know, video chatting, and then it's got one in the back. It's angled up 22 degrees, which it's because they also included this really cool thing called the kickstand. It is a stand for the tablet built in to the tablet. Like, it's not on any sort of detachable case. It's on the tablet itself. Now, granted, guys, this is not the first time this has happened. The Archos 101 comes to mind when I'm thinking about tablets that have stands built in. But it does look like a pretty sturdy thing. Yeah, it goes all the way across the side and the back, so you're going to be able to touch, hopefully, without it wobbling around too much, because that's always an issue with with tablet stands, I think. Okay, so the stand angles down 22 degrees, so the camera angles up so that it evens out and it shoots straight, so you can basically like set it down and record, which I think is pretty nice. 9.3 millimeters thick. 9.3 millimeters. That's less than a centimeter. That would not be significant normally, but let me tell you. There's the Windows RT version. There's two versions of this. There's Windows RT, there's Windows RT. This is like a version of Windows 8. That Windows RT is going to run on a Surface tablet that has something called an ARM processor. What that is a processor that's made specifically for mobile devices. There's also going to be a version of Windows 8 called Windows 8 Pro. The Surface for Windows 8 Pro has an Intel Core i5 processor. Like, not a mobile version, like, for tablets, but the actual PC thing. They obviously think that they're going to change how it's all done. Because you're not going to really be able to use Windows 8 for more than an hour if you don't have a touchscreen. So first they kill off desktops, kind of, but then they're basically saying you might as well get a tablet because they're just as powerful as desktops now, which is pretty amazing that they did something like that. Now, I mentioned it does, Windows 8 does really require a mouse in some instances, and they give you a mouse. It actually, on the Surface's homepage, looks sort of like a laptop, because they have something that it's like a combination of Apple's smart cover and Asus's Transformer Prime, and, no, just the Transformer, actually. It's a magnetic latch for the case that, you can actually see the 6 little magnetic dots on the bottom of the tablet and the top of the case. The Apple iPad smart cover, the magnets are inside the thing, but this you can actually see the magnets there. And it's a case. The case is 3 millimeters thin. 3 millimeters. That is less than 1/10 of a centimeter. It's actually less than 1/20th of a centimeter. So ridiculously thin. It's called the touch cover. It's a cover, and then you can pull it down. It's got a keyboard and a trackpad, or a touchpad, on the, the back side of it. It's 3 millimeters thin though, so these keys aren't going to give you the tactile feedback. They're not going to give you the feedback that normal keys give you. Like, if I start typing here, can you hear that? I'm kind of hitting it pretty hard right now because I'm trying to make the sound show up, but just typing, like you can probably, hopefully hear that. Don't know how much background noise there is. Wow. Typing gibberish into Google still turns up relevant results, but so it's not going to give you the tactile feedback. It's not going to click. It's basically like a separate screen, but it's not a screen. It's just like a little pad that you tap like you're touching a touchscreen, but it's not a touchscreen, it's just a little pad, and you tap on a key and it, types. And the trackpad, I think it might have some pressure sensitive things, but I don't think it clicks either, though. So maybe you have to tap the trackpad too. Oh, there's no separate clickers. Even on they have a classic version called the touch cover, the type cover, which does have actual keys. It is I'm looking at the website here. Yeah, it's not 3mm, then it's a bit more than that, but yeah, they're giving you, like, basically the tiniest bit of the laptop experience that is needed for Windows 8. Which, you know, I think that's going to be necessary, at least for this version of Windows. It's not unibody just yet. You know, like Apple, they brag about how they take one piece of metal and they carve that out, and it's just one piece that everything goes into. This isn't unibody yet. It's got multiple parts, and you can see those multiple parts. But nevertheless, 17mm. No, 9.3mm. Pretty thin. I/O interfaces. They have their magnetic latch. Maybe that's a Kingston lock thing. I don't think so, actually. There might be some sort of display thing on it. That's definitely something. Oh, and then, alright, on the RT version, there's a USB 2.0 port, because most people don't really care if it's 2.0 or 3.0. But for us nerds who really do care, the Pro version with the i5 processor does have a USB 3.0 port. So, you know, as long as Apple doesn't ditch Microsoft completely, you're still going to be able to, like, sync your iPod. You're still going to be able to plug your digital camera or your camcorder in to sync videos and music and stuff. So they have not, you know, gotten rid of ports yet. Somebody said, how many times can they put the Windows logo on one device? They've got one in the front and one in the back. On the kickstand is the one in the back, so it's not that bad. Other than what I have just told you, and anything that you may have gathered about Windows 8 in the past few months, there's really not a lot else. No prices yet. No prices. There's speculations, but no prices at all. And, you know, I have a couple of personal things to say about this. I think this is a smart move. I think that this was necessary to provide people a good experience with Windows 8. Because I think that what Dell and HP and, you know, all those other companies were going to do might not have been the best things for the companies or the consumers. But I think that this way Microsoft will be able to, you know, I didn't think of this. I never once thought, you know, what if Microsoft, you know, added a case that acted as the bottom of the laptop, so it's like a tablet and a laptop. No, that did not cross my mind one time, but now that I've heard it, it's the only solution that I can come up with that would make Windows 8 nice to use. Because I've had Windows 8 on my laptop, which it's the equivalent of a Touch Smart, just older, and single touch, not multi-touch, but it does have a touch screen. Windows 8 sucked. It's got, you know, the pen, but good performance, but I didn't like using it. So I think that what they did was kind of the only way to save the customer experience. Now, a couple of thoughts also. What are the other companies going to do? You know, like the OEMs, that's what they're called, like it stands for Original Equipment Manufacturer. That's like Dell and HP and people. They did not know that Microsoft was going to do this any sooner than you or I did. And Microsoft really kept it on the down low. Because, you know, Apple, they like keep things inside all the time and they have all these leaks. But, you know, Microsoft, who usually announces things beforehand, did a pretty good job of keeping this an inside operation. And, you know, it looks like they at least have some prototypes. So but none of the companies knew this was going to happen. You have to understand. So I want to know what's going to happen. As of now, as of this day, which Windows 8 doesn't come out until the fall, but as of this day, Microsoft is still selling Windows to OEMs. So Dell and HP and Gateway and all them, and those are just the first three that come to my mind, but you can imagine all the other ones when I say those. They can still sell computers with Windows on it. When this comes out, I'm curious to see, firstly, are they going to be allowed to still sell it? Or is Microsoft going to say, no, Windows is ours now? Secondly, I want to know, even if they can sell it, will they? Would they want to? Because they're basically competing with their, they're competing with the company that they have based their company around. So I want to know, like, are they still going to be able to sell Windows? Are they still going to try? Are they going to take the same approach that Microsoft did with the tablet, laptop? It's not even really a hybrid. It's like it's both at, well, yeah, both at once. It doesn't switch back and forth. It is both of them. Are they going to keep doing, like, my laptop, you know, the screen swivels and then folds down as a tablet, and, you know, Dell has one where the screen, like, flips around inside the outer cage. Are they still going to take on their own designs? Are they going to copy Microsoft's? Are they going to stop selling Windows altogether and make their own versions of Linux? Like Dell Linux, Gateway Linux, Lenovo Linux. I think that would be pretty awesome, but as of now, I don't think that's too likely to happen. But just a thought. How are they going to respond? I know that they're angry. There have been some press things recently, but yeah. Also, just on the topic while we're here, a little side note. I think that Microsoft, they really pulled this last-minute thing, but I think they timed it perfectly, other than the 30 minutes late thing. But I think they could not have done this at a better time if they wanted to attract attention to themselves. Because if they would have done it, you know, WWDC was the 11th. If they would have done this before WWDC, then, I mean, Apple could have stolen their spotlight. If they would have done it any closer to WWDC, people would still be talking about that, and they wouldn't be paying too much attention to Microsoft when they were doing this. They would still be looking at Apple, and Microsoft would just be standing behind them. But if they would have waited any later, then everybody would be over Apple, Apple's announcements. And, you know, it just would have been another release. But I think that they did a good job of balancing out getting attention and stealing attention. Like, I don't know if that makes any sense to you. I can't, like, share my thought processes any better than this. But I think that they timed it really well. Alright, what's the video at right now? 27 minutes. Okay. He wants to watch a hour-long video. Alright.